Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the sports betting show brought to you by a real statistics professor. This is Tuesday, April 29th. We've got Major League Baseball picks for you here. Cousin Jared, we've talked about it. It's been a frustrating start to the season. We're trying some different things here, and not so much different as much as just saying we've had a lot of success in the past, and we want to get away from this slide, which is like maybe the worst start to a season we've ever had, and more onto this slide, which is like, look at what we did. And this is just the other sports, of course, in the past, which I like to show. But if you go back to the baseball, we've had some really good baseball seasons. So just kind of trying to go back to the well there with some of maybe trying to figure out how to take the improvements that have happened and maybe reintegrate them with some of the things that were working before, trying some different things like that. But it's been such a rough start, Cousin Jared. So I want you to paint a rosy picture, maybe for me, because I get discouraged about this, and you know this, right? Because I'm right here with y'all on this and living and dying, with it. And we've had such good success in baseball that the start of the season has really been just a slap in the face. So maybe you can at least give us some optimism to continue into this week.
Yeah, and I agree that this has been the worst start to a season. I'm not convinced this is the worst, 40-day rolling period we've ever had. It just so happens that when you're looking at it from the start of the season, those are what the numbers appear to be. I'm not convinced it's the worst period that we've ever gone through. I just think
the current one that we're in feels like the worst to me, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Because, it's just the beginning of the season. You come in with all this optimism, and there's nothing really to offset it. I would say come talk to me in the midseason and see where we are then. Then maybe I would be a little bit more concerned if we're still at this point in the middle of the season. The other thing, though, and I kind of mentioned it to you before we came on, it's like it is possible to do things right and have a solid model and be unprofitable over the course of a season. That's why it's gambling. We literally say it every time, and you people probably get tired of us hearing it, but in one game anything can happen, and over the course of thousands and thousands of games, anything can happen. So we have a track record here, as you can see, of all these other sports and other seasons where things have gone really well. So if it just so happens, I'm not saying this is, but if this is one of those seasons in baseball where we just break even, that's why you look at other markets, at other sports, and it's a long-term thing, and nothing about this is short-term. So I'm not concerned.
I feel like if someone were to be watching this show, they would maybe even rightly call out that even the path to break even feels like a long road ahead at this point. But as we've kind of talked about too, right? I do at least hopefully think I'm the right man for the job in this. With my background in statistics and having played baseball and whatnot, so I feel like I'm the right guy for the job to fix it. And I've got a proven track record of it as well, and history for those who've been around for a while of sometimes literally not sleeping until the problem is fixed.
Right.
And so we've, got some optimism going forward. I think my frustration kind of comes even for today here on Monday. We had 4 picks that the model liked, both first 5 and full game. 6 of them. I decided to double up on 3 of them, and it did not on the other 3. And it's like the 3 I doubled up with, I think the extra pick lost on all 3, and the 3 that I didn't, I think the extra pick would have won on all 3. And so it's just one of those things where it just feels like I'm just can't get anything right, and that's frustrating. But as we know, these stretches do end. Thankfully, you never know when, and hopefully, it's already happened here. We did at least get a winner for you, viewer, on Monday in the late afternoon game, in a game that I thought the first 5 over made sense too. That apparently the teams just decided to wait a little bit, and then the runs happened, kind of like we said, where it was like there could just be a lot of runs. There were like 20 some odd runs in that game. So easy winner, but also like, if you liked me and you kind of thought the first five made sense, maybe it didn't turn out as good as you hope, but we got that one, of course. And then maybe a second one here, hopefully. And we've already got some early runs in the Astros Tigers game. So that would be nice if we could get a couple winners from that. Just some quick reminders here. You can join us on Dub Club and get all the picks, all the A grades, Discord chat, other handicappers covering every single sport that's out there. And half off your first month with the link in the show description. Again, a ton of benefit to being over there in Discord. Just cannot recommend that enough. All the great resources we have over there. It is worth itself. And then, of course, reminders about the model. Player-based model ratings reflect the current roster. Average grades 100. Higher implies more runs, so offenses want to be higher. Average game is what we are projecting. We have no idea what will happen in one single game, unfortunately, because humans in sports specifically get weird. And what we mean by that is when we give probabilities, when we say 55% winner, what we mean is we are going to lose that a lot. Unfortunately, we don't like to talk about, we like to be realistic, but that doesn't mean we have to be insulting, right? We talk about we aren't going to run from the losses. The losses happen, unfortunately. We acknowledge them. We can talk about them. We just have to say sometimes it's not a hot streak. And so right now we do appreciate kindness. We know we're losing. We're not hiding it. We ain't running. So there's no need to be rude to us. So hopefully that'll turn right around and someone watching this for the first time will be like, what? These guys are awesome, because this will be the start of the rest of the season.
Yeah.
We've had it before. And again, looking at the model, the picks feel right, because we were talking about that this week and some of the changes. The picks just feel like the same exact picks that we had back when we were just rocking and rolling. And that gives maybe a little bit of optimism there. Yeah. Twins and Guardians, we're going to start off with the early game. Unfortunately, there is no day baseball on Tuesday, but a 6 p.m. start, thankfully, for us. We're going to go the under in this one, as the model is projecting a total of 7.4. With regards to the weather, it's going to be a nice night. You're going to have it be probably a little bit more pitcher friendly than hitter friendly, but it's going to get weird. Might be a little bit of rain, might be a little bit of a delay. That delay pushing it later in the night is going to make the wind blow in even more and going to make the temperature even cooler. This is one where you might want to check the weather in the morning and just kind of double check. If it seems like the front's coming in a little bit earlier versus a little bit later, if it seems like the rain's going to hit a little bit more or not, that could kind of affect this. But right now, we're kind of taking the average scenario. We've got 7.4 as the projection, so we're going to go under 8 as our pick in this one. Cousin Jared, it can get a lot better from the weather. It could get a little bit worse, but if it gets worse, what we've locked in is still not a bad play. And that's why we only lock in these strong A grades in the night before, because we say, even if the weather changes, the projection can go up to 8. We're still alive. But if the weather doesn't change and or gets better, we might have a really favorable situation for ourselves for this under, in a situation where the relievers are fantastic for both teams, tons of depth. Paddock for the Twins maybe leaves a lot to be desired, but you know what else leaves a lot to be desired? These offenses. Because, Jared, I'm assuming that's why we're on this under. Tell us more.
So the offenses, of course, are a big part of this. The other thing is Tanner Bybee. Rough start to the season. I have to admit that I am putting faith in Sideline here. That, his whatever ridiculous over 6. I don't know what his ERA was. Last time I looked, it was over 6.
It's down to 5.19 now, so it's
okay. So but I am having faith that Sideline, looking at the underlying metrics and everything, he has not pitched as poorly as his surface level statistics may have indicated. So I'm carrying a little bit on that. And of course, if that's the case, matching up against the Twins offense, this number 26, that definitely looks good for us. The other thing is these bullpens. It is, a lot of times we like to say that, we want to be involved in the first 5 because we don't want to be involved with these bullpens. But no, this is the exact opposite. Yep. I want to be involved with these bullpens. I
would love a 2-hour rain delay after like the third inning. Let's just make this a bullpen game for both teams. Mix and match righty lefty, like back and forth. Those hitters won't know what hit them, and this game will be like 2-0.
I think the best thing for me in this game is if it's 2-1, even 2-2 late, and both teams are pulling out all the stops in their bullpen, getting their best arms, in there, and I feel really good about this going under, even if this got into extras, and you still had some of those good bullpens arms out there. I would still feel good. Sometimes we play an under, and it's like, oh my gosh, it could be way under going into extras and still end up going over. This is not one of those games where I would have that concern. So for me, this is don't trust either of the offenses and love the out. Like you said, Paddock leaves a little something to be desired, but love everything else about the pitching in this game.
And kind of like you were talking about there with the extra innings, it's not that they can't get the extras and lose. It's just that of all the games going extras, this is the one that you're like, hey, if one of them had to do it, this is the one that's got the best chance of getting out without damage. Whereas other times, I feel like sometimes we escape. We had one the other day that was under that still won handily, I think in the 11th, and I was so surprised that it made it that long that easily.
Mm-hmm. It was Royals and Rockies. I think it was 3-3 going to extras, and
there you go. It was that one. And I was like, oh man, I feel like we escaped, like it wasn't this one. I won't feel like we'll escape. This one I'll be like, no, we had this the whole time. That one, I was like, no, we escaped with that one. That one was good. Because I just want to talk real quick, the Twins offense, a couple of things. First off, what in the world happened? I cannot believe down to number 26, but the second point that I want to make is actually just about the quirks in Major League Baseball this year. An 89 grade isn't terrible. It's worse than the Twins have been. Usually they've been more in the 100s, 102, 104, 107 if they're picking it up and starting to hit well. 89 is obviously a drop for them, and it's kind of like Bybee as well. This is a drop for Bybee, and I think it works pretty well in that both Bybee and the Twins have actually been worse than their grades so far. But the model's saying, well, we don't necessarily expect them to keep being that bad. We expect a little bit of balancing out, and that's where it's trying to go for. So I think that kind of cancels out. But that Twins offense, to me, it's just crazy that they're so low. But then it's also to be crazy that means there's only 27, 28, 29, 30. That's 4 teams with offensive grades below 89. Kissinger, you've been around a long time. That's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, that I would say it seems like there's a depth of offenses that maybe we haven't seen. Of course, I don't know, you being the statistics guy, I don't know what our distributions look like with the Rockies way the hell out there.
That I think is part of the problem, is because what we use for the model isn't like this. But when we do these grades, we do it relative to the league, and the Rockies being so far down, the White Sox being so far down, it's like you've got just a couple of really bad offenses that I don't know. They're just like screwing up the whole thing, probably.
So anyway, just know, what is it that you say all the time? No model is perfect. Some are useful. So it could be that the Rockies and White Sox they're not easy teams to model. That's what we can say.
The White Sox, I feel like, make it difficult. The Rockies just add a whole new challenge to that. And there is at least a little bit of hope for the Rockies. I think their guys aren't quite this bad. They got some young guys maybe, but like they've just been so abysmal. It's insane. You can't. It's really hard to put into words how abysmal they have been. But this Twins offense, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that before we go to the next game?
No, I don't. I don't.
Just kind of weird. I feel like
I guess the only thing I would say is a couple of years ago they had problems with strikeouts, but they were still productive even with all of the strikeouts. It was kind of just all or nothing. Now it's just like they're just not getting the pop, and they still have a lot of the strikeouts. So just seems they, like you said, taking quite a big step back.
Their offense taking a big step. The Guardians starting pitching taking a huge step back, of course, with Shane Bieber, of course, still the anchor of that rotation. Not in there. A little bit of a changing of the guard here. The Royals need a little bit more depth behind Witt, but the Tigers, might be poised to be the new top team in the AL Central. We'll find out. Again, all the information you can get on Dub Club. If you're interested, pause the show right now, take a screenshot of that, whatever you want to do, get some good information for this one, as it's kind of a little bit of the standalone game early. We'll also cover the Royals and the Rays kind of smack in the middle of the evening here, 7:05 p.m. Eastern. A nice night, little on the warm side, upper 70s really, slight breeze blowing out. What that park's going to do to it, does anyone even still know at this point? I don't think we've quite figured that out to this to quite yet. We've had some games we thought would be higher scoring and they weren't, and we've had some maybe that we thought wouldn't be and they were. So I'm not really sure. But the bottom line is, anytime the Royals are playing, we just talked about it, they've always got great starting pitching, and unfortunately, they don't have great bats. These Rays bats, the model still believes in them. And then when you've got two pitchers with the slight edge towards Tampa on this one, we like the Rays here, and we give them a 66% chance to win. We're going to play the -1, not the money line. The money line's out around -150 or so. Instead, we're going to do the -1. That is at -101 right now, so right around even money. And again, if you've forgotten, the way you do this is you bet a certain amount on the money line, and then whatever that wins, that's what you then risk on the run line in order to create that -1 yourself. So no matter where you are, you can always play that if you like it, or play the money line, the run line by themselves. This is just a neat way to split your bet. Cousin Jared, the Rays offense hasn't put up the numbers maybe some were hoping this season, but the model still has faith, and thus we still think we can get it done, and this is a little bit underpriced. What other insights do you have for us here?
So coming off the conversation that we just had in the last game, the Royals, one of the teams worse than the Twins on offense, and that is basically all of the reason that I like, laying the one run here as opposed to the money line. I would rather pay a little less and just know that if the Royals do what they've done offensively all season, the Rays winning this game probably means they win it by 2 or 3 runs as opposed to just 1 run. And of course we would push under that scenario. So I know the Rays haven't been as good offensively as maybe that number 6 rating would indicate, but I have a feeling they're going to come around. Like we talk about how some of the really good teams are just consistent year after year. I feel like the Rays are overlooked as one of those teams that are just consistent year after year. And, so I have faith in that number 6 rating. I think that the surface level statistics will eventually start getting them closer to, a top half of the league offense. And then, of course, the advantage at starting pitching as well. So this just seems good to me every way you slice it for the Rays. And I just have no faith, again, feel like I say it a couple times a week, but no faith in this Royals offense, and that's why I'd rather lay them one run as opposed to just go straight money line.
Right, and this Rays offense, they are 15th in runs in Major League Baseball, but again, I understand that winning is the point, and thus scoring runs is the point, because you don't win unless you score runs and preventing the other team from scoring runs, etc. But when we talk about being able to predict, runs is not the most predictive thing. What you did in the past is predictive, but we want to find the best thing that's predictive. And for us, that's not necessarily always runs. And that's when we look at some of the more advanced statistics. Just for an example, one that's easy to find in just a couple of seconds on the Google search that I found right now through Fangraphs, because they always come through, it seems like. Weighted runs created plus, so it's a park neutral metric centered at 100. Their standard deviations work a little bit different than mine, but a centered at 100, they've got Tampa at 8, and that's just what's literally happened this season. If you just take that and project it forward. Now, my model's using previous seasons as well, and right now the previous season weights a lot more than the current season because we don't have a ton of data just yet. So the bottom line, though, is even though they haven't scored the runs yet, the some of the underlying metrics say they're doing just fine. It just hasn't quite clicked and hasn't quite bounced right for them yet, but just hang in there. Their offense is really good. And thus, if that's the case, it seems pretty simple that we've got a pretty good value here on the Rays if we believe the discrepancy in these offenses is what the model thinks.
Yeah.
We'll go to a late one here, Angels and the Mariners. Cousin Jared, we've talked about, and I've got in the code now, I'm working on the ability to track, just to make sure we don't keep talking about the same teams over and over. We felt like we've done that in the past. We really want to avoid that because we don't want to get to July and be like, gosh, I've said everything I can say about baseball. But I swear, Jack Johanowitz, we have faded now. I think this is the 3rd time.
Yeah.
I feel like if he's watching or his family, obviously first, thank you, we are honored. Or if it's his friends or anyone who knows them, like It's not personal. Like I just got to make that clear. Like we are not.
Yeah.
It's not personal. That dude would destroy me, on and off the baseball field. I'm sure. It's just the model's kind of been taking a stance here and saying he's worth fading, and I try not to get caught up too much in the individual results of the bets, and the reason why is we can get a little bit carried away. We can get stir crazy, and we can get chasing rabbits and waterfalls and all sorts of stuff you aren't supposed to be chasing.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, every time we fade him, and I look at his numbers, and I'm like, I don't understand it. 5.47 ERA. So the people who just look at that are going to think he's not very good. 5.67 FIP. You're people who are looking at interlay metrics. You're going to look at that and be like, that's not good. You keep going down the list. It doesn't really matter. Like, he's one of the weaker starting pitchers in baseball. I don't know. It's pretty simple to me beyond that. The Mariners, it's the same story we've been saying the whole time, is their pitching can be really good, and that's what's going to carry them because their offense is really good, but their pitching's taking a step back. Bryce Miller's one of their better starters in his league average right now. That's kind of crazy to me how far back their starting pitching has fallen. Their bullpen's out of the top 10, but that offense is still top 5 at this point, number 4. Cousin Jared, no matter what happens this season, at the end of this season, I will almost assuredly be hanging my hat on the Mariners and the A's both being top 10, maybe even top 5 offenses in something like weighted runs created plus that again neutralizes for the park, because this Mariners offense has get it done. And folks, this game has a total of 8. Cousin Jared, I do not know the last time I saw a total of 8.
It's been a while. It's been a while. It has been a while.
It has to have been the perfect, like, Dodgers when they had a bullpen game type thing. I mean, when was the last time we saw that? This Mariners offense is good, and so we're going to back them. We're going to play them on the money line. We're going to lay a little bit of a price, minus 160. So instead of laying the run and getting the even money type odds like we did in Tampa, we're going to lay the money line. Because Jared, tell us why you like this. Tell us why we're on the money line.
Yeah, so this is the exact opposite of the Rays situation, where okay, I see that Mariners being the number 4 offense. So much
number 2 in weighted runs created plus for the season so far in 2025. Just out there.
So much of that production has come on the road. They've righted the ship at home recently.
This weekend there were some higher scoring games than expected.
And so recently they have been playing better at home. But you mentioned that seeing a total of 8 is abnormal there. I just want to I will pay a little bit extra to have that insurance of, okay, if this game does end up being low scoring, like you said, the park, the environmental factors usually lend itself to that. The Mariners have been really hot. What if they cool off? If they are going to cool off, I think that's going to be at home. So I want to hedge in this game because I do not have the same level of confidence in the Mariners continuing being hot on offense, as opposed to in the last game that we talked about. I do have faith that the Royals offense will continue to be cold. I do not have 100% faith in the Mariners offense staying hot. So I would rather just care about winning this game and not being looking to win by more than a run. I just want to win this one, and I'll be happy.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I want to talk real quick about, so you talk about totals there and low scoring park factors, and a little bit about the difference between descriptive statistics and predictive statistics or inferential statistics. And the idea being, if you look at park factors for this season, you talked about the Mariners, they've scored some on the road and they haven't at home. The park factor for Seattle this year, which is derived 50% based off of what the Mariners are doing at home versus what they're doing on the road. And then the other 50% is what are all the road teams doing there versus what they're doing at their homes or at all the other roads or whatever. I can't keep it straight off my tongue. It's like a tongue twister. It has a 91 for this season. And I think for the last 3 years, it's rolling. It's like a 90 or 91. I mean, it is consistently like this. It's not like it's just this year either. And it's not like it's played any different this year. It's been just like everything else. Now, we are too early in the season that I would not advise you to look at park factors for the season as anything inferential, i.e. predictive. I'm just looking at it as descriptive, meaning it's interesting to look at because it tells us something, but it's not necessarily going to predict what's going to happen going forward because it's not a huge sample size. But it is something that you can kind of, if you were to look at the in-year stuff kind of get just a little bit of a feel for how the park's been playing, and or maybe it's noise, maybe it's a little bit of a reflection of how that team is playing. If they're playing any bit different, if they can or can't score at home or on the road or whatever, usually that balances out unless it's in a crazy park. And in this case, T-Mobile is. Of note, the A's is a 114 this season, which is a Coors territory. I don't know if it'll stay there, because Jared, I think we're still expecting, based off the AAA numbers, for that to come down. But so far, there have been a boat ton of runs in that stadium. I want to come back real quick. Last thing, Mariners. The model's been high on the Mariners the last several years. The model's been low on the Angels the last several years. Recently, there was a little bit of a swing where the model kind of maybe started shifting a little bit more towards the Angels, away from the Mariners, but now we're kind of back in the same old, same old. It worked for a while. This season, maybe it hasn't been. The Mariners have been a little bit of a disappointment. The Angels have been kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
What gives you faith in the Mariners specifically here in this game that they can get the job done? Because we are laying a bit of a price, so we need to have some faith somewhere, right?
This just goes back to the Angels are not good. Advantage starting pitching, advantage on offense. The Angels offense was looking decent at the beginning of the season. I think they were top 10 at one point, and we've talked many times, sideline is not built to overreact. Like, I know the Mariners have gone from, it started out the season 11 up to 4 over the course of, 5 or 6 weeks. They moved up 7 spots. The Angels dropped at least 11 spots in a shorter time frame than that. And when sideline is making adjustments like that, it's, you're catching up to it. They were like a 109 or something like that, 108 maybe on offense, and now down to a 97, number 20 overall. So I just think if sideline's moving that fast, the Angels have been playing pretty poorly. So I think this is just a combination of, I think everything started as good as it possibly could have for the Angels this year, and now they are precipitously on the way down, and everything for the Mariners started as bad as possible, and they have just shot up over the past few weeks. So I think just two teams headed in completely opposite directions here.
That's a great point. And then to put the advanced metric behind that, the weighted runs created plus, again, WRC plus for the Angels for the season so far is an 84, which is 26th in baseball. And again, early on, after it was like a week and a half or something, they were top 10 in baseball. And then all of a sudden, to drop this far, it's been kind of impressive just how bad it is. And the model has not seen as bad luck either. It's seen as just, truly terrible offensive performance. And so maybe that's kind of what we'll leave you with here, is it's less about, the model always loves the Mariners. We've been off the Mariners and off fading the Angels here a little bit, but at some point when you look at just what this Angels offense is doing, what they've done historically, and this Mariners offense, again, when you get beyond the whole run score thing because of the park, their offense is so good. That's quite a big difference. And so we like the Mariners on the strength of that difference. Doesn't even mention the fact that their relievers are better and the starting pitching is better, but the offense is the big highlight there. Cousin Jared, that's all we've got here for today. Again, A grade only picks. You can get that for 99 cents your first month with the link in the show description. Or again, the honor roll all access, everything for half off your first month with the link in the show description, some social media handles in that as well. Parting words, Cousin Jared, before we continue on into the week.
So we talked about at the beginning, slow start to the season. Just like the stock market, you want to buy the dip here. Getting in when it's low, things are going to go up from here is what I would say. So now is a great time to join. Make sure to use the link in the show description.
And I will say, of course, for people who've been around a while, they will preach that, everyone's going to have these type of down runs, and that I've always come through and gotten the ship straightened out. It's sometimes less fun to have to say that, because I know what that implies if I'm having to say that. So I don't love to say that, but it has happened before. And you said, whenever it turns around, it's going to start looking really good. So hopefully that's here soon. We know it has in every other sport, so we're just waiting our time, I guess. But that's all we've got then for today. Thanks again for watching. We wish you the best of luck and remind you that you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.